Greetings, beautiful people. Welcome back to my channel. My name is Creatrix and I am the hostess with the mostest. I know that's corny. But anyway, welcome to my channel. I'm glad that you could be here. Today, I'm a spiritual scientist and a spiritual investigative journalist, okay? And lately I have been reading the collective global energy, all right? And the last video that I did for y'all was about transmuters and dense generators, okay? And we're going to be using the same lingo from the previous video so that you can understand what it is that I'm talking about, so that we have an understanding, okay? Because this video today is a continuation of that, but it also requires an insight into spiritual science, okay? And spiritual science is an oxymoron or it's redundant more so, because science is spiritual and spiritual is science. They're one and the same. There's no separation between the two, okay? Spirituality is the understanding, the overstanding of our environment, the earth realm, okay? And beyond, right? The universe in and of itself. So we're going to be taking a scientific approach to spirituality today so that we can better understand what's happening on a global scale, okay? So just as a small refresher, even though I do recommend that you go check out the video that I just posted, transmuters are a specific category of human beings, okay? Humans that have come through the womb portal to incarnate into this realm, okay, to play the game, okay? But these transmuters have a specific purpose on this earth realm, which is to attract these dense generators in order to be able to quickly transmute their energy, all right? So these dense generators, on the other hand, they are the ones who, obviously in the name, they are generating dense energy by seeking out light beings, so-called, and basically doing the opposite of transmuters, which is taking light energy and murking it up, okay? They target human beings, typically children, right? If you get what I'm saying, right? They typically target children because they are the purest. People are the purest when they first enter the realm, right? Before they experience too much trauma and all that. So these dense generators, they target children and adults alike, everybody. They target everybody, right? And what they do is they traumatize them, they cause them harm, okay, in some way, shape, or form, which keeps the earth realm energy vibrating kind of low. All right, and what the transmuters do is I just got the message seek and destroy these dense generators, but the transmuters, how they destroy the dense generators is they kill them with kindness. They kill them with love. Okay, so what these transmuters do is they transmute dense generators' energy so much into light that the dense generators don't have any foundation, right? Because density begets density, right? But if a transmuter transmutes all of that dense energy, then the dense generator has no option but to live or exist on a playing field of love, if that makes sense, right? Of a playing field of lightness, of lightheartedness, because they don't have any more density within them. These dense generators actually create other dense generators, right? It's kind of like hurt people hurt people. So these dense generators are created on this realm in order to be able to create more density so that the earth realm can't move forward. All right, and that's because the person who is controlling the earth realm at the moment, or who was the winner of this earth realm game, they don't want to give up their power. Okay, if the environment of the earth realm changes or the frequency of the earth realm changes, that's going to open up a portal for other people to be able to win. Okay, because every 6,000 years, let's say every 6,000 years, right, when the, you know how we went from the Piscean age to the Aquarius age, so when the Pisces era ended and the Aquarian age started, that transition is where there's a clean slate, right? And it opens up the door to all of the people who are playing the earth game to be able to have an equal opportunity to be able to win. All right, so in the Piscean age, there was a winner in the earth realm game, because the earth realm is a game, right? So there was a winner, so-called, of this game, and the winner was not somebody who is of light being. So they created, and the winner gets to, basically how you win is you become a master manifester, okay? And this person manifested the earth realm that we know as today, lots of illusion, lots of pain, lots of suffering, so on and so forth, right? And this was on purpose because the density of the earth will make it harder for the earth realm to move forward, right? So that's when these transmuters come in. They are like a special task force that force the earth realm energy into progression, no matter what the case is. The special task force of transmuters, they are currently here on the earth realm, and that is what they're doing. Okay, so now you are up to speed on the push and the pull that's going on. Okay, so an example of a dense generator would be Diddy. All right, for some reason my guides keep bringing up Diddy, and the reason why they're bringing up Diddy is because, one, yeah, he's going through a very visible court case and very visible consequences of his actions, even though he got away with a lot, right? Like he only got off only on being charged guilty with like 2 counts, I believe, or something like that. So this man only got the amount of time that he needed in order for him to change, because the truth is that during Diddy's stay, this is future energy, during Diddy's prison stay, right, when he's doing time, he is going to make a change within his soul, all right, because he is attached to a transmuter. Now remember, Diddy is a dense generator, right? He is a hurt person who is hurting other people, and those hurt people also hurt other people, right? For the most part. And so he's attached to a transmuter who is ramping up to transmute all of his dense energy, right? To help him transmute all the dense energy so that the earth realm can move along. And now this is going to happen to all of these dense generators. Okay, it's like the transmuters are a cleanup crew, right? Diddy is going to come out of prison, when he does come out, a completely different person. He's not going to be the same person that he is at the moment that I'm filming this video once he gets out of prison. Okay, because during that time, the transmuter is getting ready to chomp on all of that dense energy. All right, and so what is going to happen to him, and I explained this in the previous video, is that he's actually going to try to shed light to his peers, right? And when I say his peers, I mean other dense generators, like the people that he's used to being around, right? Like the other celebrities, the other famous people, the other rich people who were doing the same thing that he was doing to innocent, vulnerable people, right? But who just haven't got caught for it yet, all right? But it's in the works, because like I said, all of the dense generators are about to get a very nice cleansing, all right? So he's going to try to go back to them. They're going to see that he's different, and they're going to completely ice him out. They're going to be icy cold to him, because they're not going to recognize him anymore. He's not going to belong with these people anymore, all right? So anyway, this video is less about the dense generators and more so about the transmuters and the process of transmuting this energy, because anyone and everyone, people are already transmuting, right? But these specific transmuters that I'm speaking of, their sole purpose on this earth is to transmute energy, okay? And it's a very difficult task, because the energy here on the earth realm has gotten really murky and yucky, all right? That's why we have 8 billion or 9 billion, I think it's close to now, people on this earth, because people are not graduating. They are coming into this earth realm and they're getting stuck, right? And that's by design. They're getting stuck and they're not reincarnating out of the earth realm. They're not graduating, like I said, right? So in order for there to be a clean slate, which, just so you guys know, there will be a culling of the population. And what I mean by culling is that the population is going to naturally decrease, okay, because of the transmuters that are here that are helping people basically finish school, finish this earth realm school. They're helping people graduate out of this school, okay? And we're going to naturally see the population decrease over, and that's very natural. And the powers that be, the power structure, they will try to use this energy. Ooh, excuse me, I just had a sneeze attack, all right? Which is confirmation, by the way. But the powers that be, they will try to use the fact that naturally the energy, the earth realm energy, is moving towards a less dense population or a less number of people on this earth realm. And they will say that, you know, oh, people aren't having babies anymore, people are starving, people are dying, you know, Bill Gates is killing people or unaliving people, my bad, and all this and that. But in actuality, the earth realm is naturally going towards a one world, a one world energy, an integration of energy to where the earth realm is unified again, and also to an energy of less population, less people, okay? And I know we're, you know, the conspiracy theorists are like, oh, one, what is that term? I don't know, like a one world government term. Damn, I forgot the term, but you know what I'm talking about, where they're, you know, the powers that be want to unify the world so that you know, they can control everybody all at once. No, all of this fear mongering they're doing is because they understand energy, and they have prophets and they have psychics on their side as well, and they know what's happening, but they try to use every bit of energy that they can to their advantage, okay? And they're doing that by fear mongering because they want to distract people, okay? The earth realm is a self-organizing, self-sustaining place, and the energy is going in, it's flowing in a certain direction, all right? And there's nobody on this, there's no one person or no one group, no one organization on this earth realm that has the power to delay that energy, to change that energy, to redirect that energy. No, because the planets are involved, right? These celestial bodies that are influencing the earth realm. The earth realm itself also has a consciousness. So there's not one person that can change anything, not NASA, not the American government, not the Israeli government. I don't care who it is, not who, you know what I'm saying? Not the World Health Organization, nobody. The earth realm is heading in the direction that it's supposed to be going, and there's nobody who can stop that flow. All right. So with that being said, we are going to get into the science of what transmuters do, because everyone, like I said, is transmuting the energy on a particular level, okay? We do have people who transmute other people's energy, right? But the transmuters are literally, they have the heaviest load, okay? The specific transmuters I'm talking about, there's 2 to 3 of them on this planet right now. They have the heaviest load, okay? But there are people on this planet, regular average people who are in the game, who also transmute, because that's part of the game. So we're going to get into the science of how we transmute energy, and that requires us to understand the concept of time, okay? So I wish I had some type of visual, okay? I wish I had like a whiteboard or something that I could write on, because it can get this video can get convoluted, but hopefully y'all will be able to follow with me and use your imagination to understand what I'm talking about, okay? So we need to understand time, the concept of time, which has been, I just heard misled. We've been misled to understand the concept of time, okay? And I must say that they don't teach us these deep sciences because they're purposely keeping this information from us so that we're at a disadvantage, right? And they make it seem like the average layperson won't be able to understand, oh, biological sciences, you know, physics and mathematics, or STEM in general, right? But to be honest, a lot of us, especially those who are interested, have the capability of understanding these heavy, deep sciences, okay, that even the scientists don't even really understand and often get wrong, okay? So I just want to put that out there, that if if you're the type of person to where you like science or you're interested, don't feel discouraged that you don't come from a certain place in life or you haven't had a certain walk in life. Being spiritually in tune offers you the advantage to be able to learn the sciences in a way that nobody else can teach you. Like literally universities and school in general is completely and utterly obsolete once we tap into our spiritual gifts. Okay, so now moving forward, right? The concept of time. What is time? How is time generated, right? So what is the universe, right? The universe houses different dimensions, all right? And these dimensions are literally just layers of consciousness, right? You have the first dimension in which we have a certain perspective. You have the second dimension in which you have more than one perspective. And then the third dimension, we have a multitude or several perspectives. And the fourth dimension, we have even more perspectives. Okay, so you understand that, right? So all of these dimensions are layered one on the other. All of these dimensions exist right now, right here. We don't have to travel to experience these dimensions. We literally have to raise our frequency and consciousness in order to be able to access these dimensions, okay? And the reason why we experience time on this dimension here, or because the third dimension is relatively a lower dimension, right? And it's because we are vibrating, right, at a third dimensional frequency, right? This third dimension houses a certain range of frequency. And so time is created because our atoms, the materials that we are made out of, right? Which I don't even like calling it atoms because it's not even that. It's smaller than atoms, okay? Even these like the Higgs bosons, and I forget what they call them, but they that actually make up atoms, right? So there's one step smaller than atoms, and there's one step smaller than that, and it goes on. It's the universe is infinite, right? It gets infinitely larger and infinitely smaller, and so it goes in both directions, right? But just to keep it simple, we'll be talking about atoms, all right? Because that's what we understand at the moment. But I really don't like calling it atoms. So the material that we are made up of, right, including our aura, we are in constant movement. But the movement is, we're taught that the movement is like is elliptical, or it's like circular in nature, right? But actually the movement is, our atoms are actually moving apart and moving closer, moving apart and moving closer, kind of like they're breathing, okay? Moving apart and moving closer, and they're moving through the medium of consciousness, okay? The medium that we exist on right now is consciousness, all right? It's not necessarily air. Even though air exists, there's materials that are so light in their density that they're actually floating in the consciousness, right? That are less affected by gravity. However, the medium that we exist on is consciousness. It's love, okay? It's actually love. Love is actually a physical material, right? So anyway, getting back to it, our we are so dense on this realm is because when our atoms breathe like this, there's actually, the consciousness is dense, so it actually takes time longer for our atoms to come together and move apart again, okay? And through the healing and evolution process, we actually get quicker at, our atoms become quicker at moving together and moving apart, moving together and moving apart. And the more, so when it comes to these transmuters, right? These transmuters are connected to dense generators, and these dense generators push their dense energy to the transmuters in order to be transmuted, right? So this dense energy flows through the consciousness pipeline, right? Because we're all connected through our consciousness. We're literally in a medium, and we can target and send consciousness through the medium to one another. All right, so these dense generators are sending consciousness to these transmuters, and the transmuters are essentially like really heavy weights. Okay, so the density, it convolutes the aura of the transmuter, and so the transmuter has to, but their atoms still have to move, right? So what happens is when there's gunk and junk, when it's more dense, when the energy is more dense, it's harder for the atoms to spread and come back together, right? Because they have to push through more stuff in the auric field because these generators are sending more crap, right? So what these transmuters have been doing is they've been learning how to allow their atoms, their atoms to be able to push through this density and come back together. So they're actually, it's like the atoms or their energy is like lifting weights, right? And the more weight that they put, the stronger that these transmuter atoms are at pushing and getting back together, right? So that's actually what generates time on everyone, right? Not only these transmuters, but what this is actually happening in all of us, okay? And the reason why on the third dimension, we have a lot of trauma, a lot of hurt, a lot of pain, all right? Our collective consciousness is very much so affected by the density of everyone else, right? So some of us are experiencing time in different ways, right? So these transmuters, for example, who have gotten really good at moving their atoms at a rate in which we'll be able to push those dense energies out of the way to be able to come back together and do the process over and over again. Those transmuters are experiencing time a lot rapidly than the average human on this realm, okay? Just because they've had so much shit thrown at them, they've learned through time how to remove or still move these things out of the way to be able to evolve, right? So we're all, like I said, we're all doing this on a certain level. That's why my guides want you to know how this process is working, so you understand how important healing is, because the healing process is literally the transmutation of these dense energies that convolute our aura into light energy so that we can experience time and move forward at a faster pace, right? It's literal time travel. So what's happening is these transmuters are being able to rapidly transmute energy. Like, you know how, so if you work out, if you've been to the gym, I'm sure you've heard of the term progressive overload. It's what our muscles need in order to be able to build themselves up, right? So our muscles need pressure, right? They need to be broken down in order to be rebuilt back up stronger, right? And in order for that to happen, you need to add more weight. If your muscles don't feel that there is a challenge, then your muscles will literally just stay the same, right? Because there's no need to get stronger or bigger or more powerful. But with progressive overload, you add more weight progressively through time in order to build your muscle up and to keep challenging your muscles. So that's actually what was happening to these transmuters. And I'm sure these transmuters thought they were dying, okay? Because that process is hard. To be able to die and evolve, to die and evolve, to die and evolve, to be rebuilt back up constantly. And not only that, you're connected as a transmuter, they're connected to multiple dense generators who are just dumping their own crap onto them, right? And in the beginning, they don't know what's going on, and they're storing that dense energy that's being dumped onto them because they don't know what's happening. And like, I can't even imagine, right? Actually, I can, because I'm one of these transmuters, and we all can, right? Because we've all transmuted energy, and we've all felt, somebody evil eyeing us, or, sending us dense energy, or being an energetic vampire, or whatever the case is, right? Like we've all run into these kinds of people that are really good at just shoving their shit onto us, right? And then dipping out, right? So yeah, that's what's happening. We're all experiencing time differently. That's why we're all on different timelines. And this brings me also to the concept of quantum leaping, which I posted on my TikTok, Instagram, and Facebook, I believe. So go follow me there and check out those videos. But I'm about to explain it here again, right? And once again, reiterate how important it is to heal, evolve, and grow, okay? Because that literally puts us in control of our outcomes, of our capabilities, of our spiritual gifts. That helps us tap into so much, okay? Not to mention that that's literally what this earth realm is about, okay? So with quantum leaping, right? Because our very atoms are dependent on being able to our existence, our life force energy is the push and pull of these atoms, right? On a atomic scale to be able to push and pull. That's what creates time. How long it takes our atoms to separate and come back together, right? And the more dense our auric field is, the harder it is for those atoms to push and pull back together. But the more practice you have at transmuting that energy, the better your atoms will get at even at doing it quicker, even though there's still a lot of density around, okay? And that's literally what creates the transmutation process. That's what allows us to transmute the energies, all right? So with quantum leaping, what happens is, instead of staying resistant to what we have to change in our lives, okay, in order to move past it, right? Like, let's say we have a rejection wound, okay, and that's causing us to carry a very dense energy, okay? Because every emotion, every thought has a vibration, right? And our thoughts emit a vibration, and whatever you are having thoughts of, the most prominent thoughts that you're having is going to be your most prominent vibration, okay? So let's say you're constantly afraid of rejection, and every time you go outside in the damn world and you have an interaction with somebody, you feel like they're rejecting you in some way, shape, or form, okay? Maybe because in first grade, or maybe because you have a parent that left, let's say that, okay? Maybe you felt rejected because let's say your father left you when you were a very small child, and you felt like your father left because he didn't care about you enough, he didn't want you. Trigger warning: if you get triggered, you need to work on this, okay? But you felt like this father figure left you, didn't care about you or your mother, and you had to grow up never getting closure about that situation, right? So this is very heavy energy to be walking around with, all right? So this energy is literally going to slow down time for you. So you might have things that you would like to manifest, things that you want to come into fruition, but your ability to manifest is subpar, okay? Because you are hanging on to this very dense energy, and in order, on an atomic level, in order for you to be experiencing time quicker, you need to be able to move through this energy, but your atoms are moving through the density too slow, because you are not developing your skill of being able to evolve and grow, right? So this is creating a slower time for you. And when I mean slow, I mean you're not able to reach your manifestations in a timely fashion, or the way that you would want to, okay? So because you have this rejection wound, you're not being able to move on through life. And that's literally what this earth game is we're supposed to be moving up the rankings, these levels, okay, in order to be able to win. And that requires us, every time we move up a level, we're dropping baggage, all right? At each level, we're dropping baggage and getting better and better and better. So yeah, you have this rejection wound, right? But if you want to quantum leap, right, and not experience rejection ever again, right? Because remember, I said, as an example, every time you go outside, you experience rejection, and it just keeps getting worse and worse and worse. The wound is being validated every time you go outside, because that's your perspective, is you deserve to be rejected. People reject you. You have the type of energy that just gets rejected, so because that's your perspective, that's what you experience. But in order to quantum leap, right, to be able to not have to experience rejection again, you spend time, you get into hermit mode, all right, and you spend the quality time at your home to be able to work through your rejection. You think back on your father and why he left and how it made you feel, and you use different techniques like visualizing and revisualizing a different scenario in which your father, you make up, there's a technique that you can use in which, instead of what you remember, you replace the memory with what you would like to remember, okay? So instead of remembering that your father left you and your mother and abandoned you both, instead you replace that memory with my father is a valiant hero and he had to go off into war and he unfortunately passed away in battle, but he's a brave heart and he received a Purple Heart because he saved this family from a burning fire or something like that, right? And then you constantly replay the memory that you would like to remember instead of the memory that you don't want to remember, okay? And that is also a healing technique. And there's so many different healing techniques. I'm not gonna go through all the damn healing techniques. You can journal, you can go to therapy, you can sing, you can dance, you can move, you can massage, there's so many different ways, right? And there's so many great people online on YouTube who talk about different healing methodologies, all right? So I don't need to go over that right now, okay? So then you do a quantum leap, which means that you don't go out and you don't experience rejection anymore because you healed that wound. So the universe is not bringing you situations in which you feel rejected, because what the universe does is it puts your wounds in front of you. It puts your trauma in front of you for you to be able to fix it, because the universe, among many things, is a huge mirror. Okay, the universe likes to mirror back our energy because the point of this place is to be able to see ourselves better, right? To see exactly who we are in order for us to evolve and grow and get even better. So, yeah, that's how you quantum leap, right? You take control of your healing journey so that the universe doesn't have to initiate the healing for you, and you can skip events in which you might be unalived. You can literally evade DEATH with this methodology, with quantum leaping. This is the fountain of youth. You can avoid DEATH with quantum leaping, okay? But it's going to get deeper. The evolution is going to get difficult. It's going to get more challenging. Let me not say difficult. It's going to get more challenging, all right? Because it's going to lead you having to change your diet and be very disciplined, have restrictions, okay? And most people don't like to get to this. They won't get to this. They don't have the honor of being able to get to this phase in their life because they have such basic things that they need to work on. They just choose to be unalived. And yes, unalive, the DEATH, is a choice. It's a choice. Everyone who comes to here on this earth realm decides what they're going to do when they come here. All right, what situation they're going to be in, all of that stuff. And we also have choices once we get here. Okay, so a lot of people will decide that they don't want to work through that rejection wound, and eventually that rejection wound is going to become bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger until your auric field or your physical body cannot hold on to that amount of density, and it's going to manifest as a dis-ease, and it's going to cause you to forfeit your journey on this earth realm and transition back into your soul form in order for you to just reincarnate back here and try again, right? That is the reincarnation cycle that so many people are in right now. Okay, so yes, that is quantum leaping. That's what's going on with transmutation. And once again, it is so important that we heal, grow, and evolve. Stagnation is literally if you're resistant, stagnant, then you're literally making a choice to face DEATH, which is fine. That's your choice. Being unalived is not the worst thing in the world. It is not. There's actually nothing that's bad on this realm. Okay? Everything is temporary. Everything is temporary. Death is not the worst thing to happen to us at all. At all. We're just going to come back. There's nothing to be afraid of in this realm. There's nothing to be afraid of on this realm. Okay, fear is a literal illusion because fear is love. Fear is unconditional love. Okay, it is every emotion on this realm is unconditional love. All right, so I know I'll go through the science of how fear and unconditional love are the same exact vibration, but I hope you understood the science of time and why a bunch of us are experiencing time differently, okay? But collectively, we are going to start experiencing time faster. That's why time is moving faster, because all of us, our vibration is increasing, because the vibration of the earth realm is increasing due to these specific transmuters who are literally connected to the majority of people on this earth realm, okay? And like I said in my previous video, the reason how they are connected to the majority of people in this earth realm is because density generators put an energetic hook onto the transmuters. So there's a pipeline between the transmuter and the density generators. I don't know what I said, energy generators? I meant density generators, right? And those density generators have a hook on so many different people, because these density generators are the musicians, the actors, the Hollywood, the people on TV, the millionaires, the billionaires, right? And through trauma, and basically through trauma is how they get their hooks onto people. So if you have a TV, a radio, if you have a connection to mainstream society, pretty much you have a hook in your auric field via these density generators, and these density generators are connected to these transmuters. So these transmuters, through that pipeline I just described, have a connection to the majority of humans on this earth. Okay, so as these transmuters are transmuting energy, everyone's energy is becoming lighter and clearer. Okay, and so we will all be experiencing time quicker. Okay, we'll all be perceiving time quickly, but in general, all of us are pretty much on different timelines and experience time in different levels because of our ability to be able to remove dense energy out of our auric field. So yeah, that is enough science for today. I hope that made sense to y'all. Let me know if you have any questions or concerns in the comment section below, or if you have something to teach me that I need to know, or if you have any idea of what I'm talking about, because like I said in my previous videos, I don't read books. I don't read books. The way that I receive this information is from my higher self, okay? I get told, or I get inspired to speak about these things, all right? I don't read about them, okay? Some of these things I know of because I have studied different forms of science in university and stuff, but nothing like this, nothing connected to spirituality like this. So please let me know if you've ever heard of what I'm talking about now, if there's specific names for these things, because I don't know the names. I just understand the mechanisms and I make up the names as I go, okay? So yeah, that's what it is for today. Please feel free to add all of my socials and check out my videos on my social media. Otherwise, I will see you in the next video. I love you all so very much. Don't forget to focus just a little bit of your time on your healing, growth, and evolution, if not all your time, okay? If not the majority of your time, okay? Because like I said, this is how important evolution is. All right? I love you all so very much. See you in the next one. Creatrix out.